And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and of course, I'm here with head coach Steve Bordeaux. Uh, your host tonight as we get ready for Thursday night's game. And of course, you did hear me right, folks. It is Thursday night this week as the Yellow Jackets take on Western Hornet. This will be the Yellow Jackets' second consecutive home game of the spring football season. We're also going to talk about last week's win over Hornet Central as the Yellow Jackets start 2-0 in the Tri-County 3A Conference. And of course, we'd like to thank some special sponsors. Starts with Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, M.R. Stoner Electric, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Carolina Firearms, and Kendall Pawn. All of these guys, so thankful for helping bring you the Coaches Show every Tuesday at 7 o'clock and on 105.5 WFJA. And then, of course, would like to remind you, it'll be rebroadcast again at 5:30 this Thursday night prior to the 6:30 kickoff, also right here on 105.5 WFJA. I look forward to talking with Yellow Jacket head coach Steve Bordeaux and bringing you updates and previews for Yellow Jacket football. We're going to take a short break and hear from our great sponsors. We'll be right back with head coach Steve Bordeaux right after these messages.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Hockaday with Sandhills Broadcasting, and I thank you for tuning in to our coaches shows on WFJA Sports. It is our goal to bring you our coaches shows without commercials and with limited interruption, but we couldn't do it without our wonderful sponsors. We'd like to thank Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, M.R. Stoner, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Carolina Firearms Training and Gun Store, and Kendall Pawn Shop. We thank these sponsors for bringing you our show. We thank you for watching our Coaches Show videos. Now back to the show. We hope you enjoy.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and of course, here with Coach Steve Bordeaux in our COVID-proof booth. I always like to remind everybody we're safe and sound here at the WFJA studios. And Coach, Yellow Jackets with a big 38-0 victory over Hornet Central last week. Let me run down the conference real quick. Union Pines, 40-7 over the Cavaliers of Southern Lee, and then Triton with a big victory over Western Hornet by a 40-20 score. And of course, that leads us into Thursday night's game. And I did say that correctly. It is Thursday night, April 1st. It's not an April Fool's joke. Lee County will host Western Hornet. And also on the Thursday night game, Triton will be at Union Pines. And then, of course, Friday we'll be back to a normal schedule with the Cavaliers as the Cavaliers will be at Hornet Central, and that will be on Friday. And just a reminder, the reason we're playing Thursday, then we've got a makeup game on from March 12th on this coming Monday, a week from, last night. Lee County will play Triton, and that is a makeup game. So we'll have games for the Yellow Jackets this Thursday and then the following Monday. So Yellow Jacket fans, be prepared. Come out and support the Yellow Jackets. But, Coach, Yellow Jackets pick up their 18th consecutive Tri-County 3A Conference game, moved to 4-0 on the season, 2-0 in the conference, a convincing victory over Hornet Central Friday night.
Yeah, without a doubt, this group of seniors hasn't lost a conference game in their varsity career or over the 4-year span that they've been here, and hopefully we can keep that going. They can finish this thing off strong. Really, really, really proud of our defense. You know, that all year they've been making plays for us, but this past week, getting a shutout, Coach Jacobs, Coach Hunt, Coach Herring, our defensive staff, and the players just did a tremendous job.
Well, we're going to talk about some of that defense a little later in tonight's show, but Coach, they had negative 74 yards in rushing, 34 yards of total offense the whole game. And to be quite honest with you, 34 yards in that final drive. They were at 0 net yards as they went into that last possession. I just thought a phenomenal job by the defense. And, of course, on the offensive side, Tyreek McKendall had a big night. Will Patterson was 17 of 27, passing the ball for 304 yards. As we said, McKendall, 5 catches, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns Friday night. So a big game by both of those guys. And really kind of started off slow, but really poured it on there in the second quarter.
Yeah, without a doubt. I thought the defense really did a really good job in the first quarter, getting us good field position, and we didn't take the most advantage of it on offense. We had a couple penalties. We had a turnover on a play that looked really, really, really well set up. And then finally, when we got out of our own way, we started putting some points on the board.
Yeah, 17 points in that second quarter. You went in with a 17-0 halftime lead, and then of course poured it on with another touchdown in the third, a couple of touchdowns in the fourth. The final a 38-0 victory. Coach, some outstanding play again, offensively and defensively. I actually saw some video on Twitter, a couple of plays that both Landon Johnson, and then there was a big one that JoJo Jennings made. It was one of the most amazing plays, and it was great camera footage. I don't know who was on the field, but basically showed him hit his would-be blocker. He went right off that block, tackled the tailback before he could get out of the backfield. It was just an amazing play. I thought good play all around.
Yeah, Sean Bull, a former player of ours, was at a previous stop, was coming to make some film for us. He's the one filming, and Lee Page does some stuff on the sideline. So we get some great action shots of the boys. Really good to see that. But our defensive line, Coach Hunt did a great job. Landon had a big night. Duran, Delmas, all those boys. I think we ended up having 10 sacks. So those guys were living in the backfield.
Well, Coach, was there anything specific that once the Yellow Jacket really got their offense going that stood out to you in Friday night's game?
I thought one thing, the offensive line did a really good job of pass protecting. And when we give Will some time and the quality receivers we have, those guys are going to get open. Eli and Jackson and Kenyon and Tyreek, that's four really, really good receivers with some other guys rotating in. So I think that showed us on offense we can be very multiple, even though Harnett Central tried to do a really good job of taking away some of our run game, pack in the box. We were able to throw the ball around.
Well, we talked about the offensive line a little bit last week in our Get to Know the Jacket segment. Coach, I thought they did a great job because they gave Will Patterson enough time to throw the ball.
Yeah, and without the offensive line, nothing happens on offense. So proud of the way they're continuing to progress, and look forward to seeing them take another step this week.
Coach did have one turnover in the first half, I believe, in that first quarter when the Jackets were driving. Probably cost you guys a score. But still, won the turnover battle 2-1. Jackets are +9 on this early season.
Yeah, we look at not only the turnovers, we look at takeaways. We look at turnovers. When they get three and outs, I think we had 7 3 and outs in that game. That's just as important to me as getting a fumble or interception. When they go 3 and out, had to punt the ball, the way we are on special teams, whether it's blocking or affecting punts, that turns into really good field position as well. So it's all 3 phases for us to be successful.
And Coach, let's turn to the kicking game a little bit. I thought Kennedy did a great job, not only on just the pooch kicks, but once the Jackets got a lead, saw you were letting him kick it deep, and he was doing a great job of that.
Kennedy has a plenty leg, and he can place the ball where he wanted to, so it allows us to do the things in the kicking game we want. He made a field goal in the game, attempted another one that had plenty of leg, and we just missed it a little bit to the left. So I think Kennedy week in and week out is showing that he's getting better.
And Landon Johnson also on the punts didn't have to punt a whole lot Friday night, but again, that line giving him time. The snaps were good, and really no issues in the kicking game.
Yeah, we like that. Punt's my least favorite formation that we line up in, but you got to be really good at it. And Landon's done a great job stepping in there.
Well, I'm sure certainly it's nothing you want to be. You want to be good at it, but you don't want to have to do it at all.
No, yeah, we work on it a lot in practice to make sure we're good at it. But I hope every game that we never use it.
And I always think about the long snapper and the placeholder on an extra point or field goal, and even on punts. If you never know those guys' names, it's a great thing, because if you're not pointing them out, then everything is going well on special teams. But all your phases of special teams, I've heard you talking about build around it from time to time and how it's such a key part of your overall strategy. Tell us a little bit more about special teams and the things you do.
Yeah, Coach Willix is our special teams coordinator, so he's calling the kicks and the different things that we do and leading that unit on the field. Jason Berdicia is our long snapper for punt, and actually Landon long snaps or short snaps for field goals. Eli Garrison holds. So it takes a whole group of Jackets to be successful in special teams.
Well, Coach, they've certainly done a great job. We're going to come back in a few moments talking about great jobs. We're going to talk about our offensive player of the game, our defensive player of the game, of course, both sponsored by Norman Financial Group. And then we're also going to talk about the coach's pick for the player of the game. All that and much, much more when we return.
Coach's show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet in their new location on Highway 87 South. Domino's with convenient locations throughout the Lee County area. M.R. Stoner Electric, residential, industrial, and commercial electricians. Sheriff Tracy Carter, proud to support high school athletics. Carolina Firearms, your full-service firearms training and gun store. Kendall Pawn Shop, buy, sell, trade. Brick Capital Video, for all special occasions. WFJA for all your sports, FM 105.5.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket pregame show. I'm your host, Keith Womack, and of course, we are here with Coach Steve Bordeaux, head coach Steve Bordeaux of the Lee County Yellow Jackets. And Coach, one of our most favorite times during the broadcast is typically talking about the great plays and the great players that make those plays. And of course, we've got great sponsors, the Norman Financial Group, who sponsors our defensive player of the game and our offensive player of the game. Those are chosen by John and I in the booth just after the game. But, Coach, I'm going to let you take the honor of talking about our players of the game.
This week, the defensive player of the game was Landon Johnson. Landon lived in the backfield, I feel like, this week and most weeks so far this season, really affecting what the other team's offense is trying to do. And as well as we mentioned in that last segment, he's doing a great job in the kicking game. So Landon's doing an outstanding job and well-deserving of the defensive player of the game. Offensive player of the game this week was Will Patterson. I think Will has continued to progress every week. Stats show it as well. He had over 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Great game by Will leading our offense.
And, Coach, one that I know, I'm going to replace the jacket helmet for just a moment and put this nice trophy that was provided to us by Wilkinson Chevrolet. And, of course, that is the sponsor of our player of the game, and this is chosen by the coaching staff. I know you guys take the time. You just don't pick anybody at random. You actually go through and you look through the film, and you guys pick your offensive or your overall player of the game. Tell us who that is.
Yeah, this week's overall player of the game is another one we talked about in the weekend, and he made a couple plays on defense, a couple plays on special teams, and had a really big night on offense. Tyreek McKendall had around 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Receiving the ball. Just about every time he touched the ball on last Friday, he made a big play. So Tyreek was our overall player of the game.
Well, Coach, most of these players we've talked about tonight, most people know their names. Now it's time to do a little bit of our segment of getting to know the Yellow Jackets. And, of course, tonight our focus is going to be on that defensive backfield. A lot of guys who don't get a lot of praise, and because, there's not a lot of interceptions and things like that to go through the course of a game, at least not until you get into postseason where teams are throwing a whole lot more. But, Coach, let's start with that defensive backfield, and let's get to know the Jackets.
Yeah, sometimes this is a position that you don't really want your name called out too much on, because if you're put on spotlight on every play. I feel like our defensive backs are led by Coach Herring. Coach Herring's an outstanding football coach and really leading these boys on and off the field. So proud of him and what he's brought to us as our coaching staff. We have Jaden Marshall and Jackson Lamb, 2 of our senior captains in the secondary, and they give us great experience and great leadership back there. We have Carlos Hancock, another senior. Kenyon Palmer and Aaron Wallace are 2 more guys that are getting it done at corner. And Justin Thompson's another guy that's really stepped in and done a great job for us. So those guys get after it in practice. It's a really fun group. They're very competitive, and a lot of those guys play a lot on offense too. So it's some battles every day in practice.
And I want to give a shout out real quick to a buddy of mine, Jonathan Knoll, who is works at one of our sponsors, Chatley Boat Marine. Jaden Marshall's his nephew, and he's always very proud of the job he does back there in the backfield. And actually heard from Jackson Lamb's parents last week, and they've enjoyed the show. And but a lot of these kids, they are local. They're Lee County High School football players, and they're just so fun to watch and really to come here and talk about. So we hope that in this short segment you've enjoyed getting to know the Yellow Jackets tonight. Now, with that being said, we've got to talk about Week 5 opponent. It's going to be Western Hornet. The Eagles come in at 0-5, 0-3 on the season, and they lost to Triton last week, 40-20. But Triton is certainly a formidable opponent right now. Has not lost in the Tri-County 3A yet, and of course they've been competitive in every game. Coach, what have you learned about the offensive and defensive schemes for Western Hornet, and what can we expect, and what players should we look for on Thursday night?
I think Western Hornets a team that's taken a step up from last year. I think that, as you said, every game they've been competitive in, and really there's been times in 2 or 3 of their most recent games that they've been up or very close in the third and fourth quarter. So I think they're close to turning the page. And on offense, they have a couple guys. Their quarterback does a good job making plays and extending plays. The receivers, when he scrambles, do a good job of getting open, and they've made some big plays on offense. So we'll have to make sure we can, those DBs we talked about are going to do a good job of sticking to their receivers when scramble situations start.
Coach, one thing I always love about playing Western Hornet, it's very similar to Southern Lee in a sense, because there are so many cousins and good friends of Lee County and Southern Lee players that play for Western Hornet. This is a pretty close community, and Western Hornet is not that far away. And so there always seems to be some ties there that make this game interesting.
Yeah, I think it all starts, all this starts with youth football. Our youth football leagues around here are top notch. We was out there watching them last night a little bit. They're out there practicing. Saturday they had a great thing going on. But there's a lot of Harnett County guys, a lot of Lee County guys. Right now they're just learning how to play football. So it all starts on that youth practice field.
Well, Coach, with our current schedule, we play, of course, Thursday night against Western Hornet. Then we'll play Triton on Monday night. So, we just want to remind everybody, first of all, if you want to remind them of the website where they can go and get tickets for Thursday night and Monday night's game.
Yeah, so all our tickets, both of those games are home. They'll both be sold on gofan.com, and we'll put it out on social media. Both the links are already out there on the Jacket Football Twitter and Instagrams, as well as we'll get it out there on the Booster Club sites and all those things. So we'll continue to pump out the GoFan site. It has to be bought online. They won't sell any tickets at the gate for any of our home games. So make sure you get your ticket, and we can pack it out so we can support these boys.
Well, Coach, we talked about Western Hornet. It's coming into Paul B. Gay Stadium on Thursday, but we need to touch real quick on Triton. Triton will come into Paul B. Gay Stadium as well. That will be on Monday night. That will be prior to our next show, which will air next Tuesday night live. You want to talk a little bit about Triton? How do you prepare for that quick of a turnaround?
Yeah, so fortunately we were able to. We had a week early in the season where we were originally scheduled to play Triton, and we had prepared for them. And we've exchanged films, throughout the season, and really following them now. So we've got another game or two on what they're going to do. So we have an idea of offensively and defensively. They have a really good defensive line. They have a couple guys in the backfield that can really make plays. Their quarterback's extended a couple runs, and they've been scoring some points the last few weeks. So it's kind of a tough situation for us because we got to get prepared for Western Hornet, and we aren't going to look past them. So we're preparing for Western Hornet, and then as soon as the game ends on Thursday night, we're going to turn the Triton film back on and get ready for them.
Well, Coach, first of all, best of luck in both of those games coming up this week. Again, I'll remind you, Thursday night this week and then Monday of next week, 2 games for the Yellow Jackets in the next few days. So make sure you get your tickets. Make sure you show up to support Yellow Jacket Nation. Coach, I'd like to thank you so much for coming in tonight. And, of course, we do this every Tuesday night. It's always been a joy talking with you, and we just wish you guys the best of luck. I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but, thinking about the playoffs, there's going to be some seeding implications, especially once we get past Thursday and Monday. We'll know a lot more. So maybe next Tuesday night at our show, we can talk a little bit more about the playoffs and where all the local teams stand, and hopefully we'll be a part of that conversation.
Yes, sir. I sure hope so. 2 more good games, and we have a good chance.
I hope you are enjoying the Coaches Show videos on WFJA Sports. We again would like to thank our sponsors for bringing you our shows: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, M.R. Stoner Electric, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Carolina Firearms Training and Gun Store, and Kendall Pawn Shop. We now send you back to the show. We thank you for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming in, and we certainly appreciate everybody listening tonight. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the Yellow Jacket pregame show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. And, of course, we always want to thank Coach for coming in. We remind you to join us each Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on 105.5 WFJA, and this Thursday night at 5:30 prior to our game at 6:30. Our Coach's show will also be posted on the WFJA website and the WFJA Facebook page. So go check it out, like it if you like it, and we certainly would appreciate it. So anyway, guys, thank you. Best of luck to the Yellow Jackets as they get ready to host Western Hornet this Thursday in a Tri-County 3A conference matchup. And we thank all of our sponsors for bringing you our show tonight.